So,
Was on their own.
I'm gonna be relocating to Lincolnville in the near future, so, just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. Talking to Bob, the chair of the select board, said it would be up to the committee if I continue on as a non-resident. So I just want to make everyone aware of that going forward.
You and I had a discussion the other day, and I raised the question about what does the town policy says? I don't care what
Yeah.
the committee thinks, what does the town policy say? You know?
That was gonna be my question
Yeah.
too, is that I'm fine if the town policy says
Yeah.
the committee makes the decision, but that would seem
Yeah,
odd.
it'd be up to recommendation up to the select board when they appointed me. So I was appointed as a resident. So, yeah, I don't think it addresses that.
I think, subject to what the town policy is, and what they say, that I'd like to nominate you to continue on, because you've taken a great interest, and you've put a lot of time in on it, and I don't know, and I'm not saying other people couldn't do it. but
I don't have a problem with it, please understand
neither do
that.
But that's why I
had a
wanted to
problem
bring
with
it up.
I had a problem with the chip, I'll
Okay.
tell you.
I'm fine with that too, and if we get clarity that somehow this is not allowed, then we'll cross that bridge at that time, but until then,
A second motion.
All those in favor?
What's the motion?
Motion is that I nominated him as long as it met town policy.
How can we nominate somebody when we don't even know what the town policy is? I don't think we should be
Because
nominating.
I
and
said
hanging.
subject to.
and I thought that he was relocating in the future. It was
Well, I'm resident currently.
so it was contingent upon when he moves and then what the policy. I thought that we were okay with him still being a resident here, and that this was,
Oh, no, we're trying to kick him out. He just hasn't got the message.
Well, I mean, we could.
As long as you don't put me on the ones up in
We
Lincolnville.
could reword that nomination, that he nominate him till such time as we get, that he, we have to look at it again till he.
When he moves,
When he moves.
Okay.
If you want to put it that way. till-
That's fine.
Okay, no, I see your point.
And Bob seconded it, so.
If you, Bob, you agree with that?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Do it.
All those opposed? So voted. Vice Chair,
I nominate Jeff Sukforth.
Second it.
all those in favor? All those opposed? So voted. Okay, great. And Secretary, we need to do that, Marlene?
No.
We-
You
yeah,
do need to do that, because if for some reason I wasn't here, and you would have someone else that would.
But you look like you're in ship shape. So sure, only in the event.
So was that a motion?
That's a motion.
Seconded.
Second? All those in favor? All those opposed? So voted.
Didn't work, did it?
Late to the party.
Different rules, you get pointed at, and that's it.
Okay. So everyone had a chance to look at the February 8th and the notes on the 29th meeting? Have a motion on those?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Of February 8th and March 29th?
Yep. March 29th was only notes because we didn't have a quorum.
Right. Thank you. Second?
Yeah.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Great. Cemetery mowing and maintenance update.
I think they've been doing a much better job this year. I think Ted is doing a really good job.
It took a little tweaking, but we put the right crew over there.
Good. It does look a lot better, and and also looks like the grub treatment's taken hold and done some
I think it has
benefit, so we're starting to get some of those places revegetated. I think we still need to get that topsoil down the bottom of the hill, not the topsoil, but all the fill pushed back. That's something we can get the town crew to do, you think, or?
The fill that's down at by the,
Yeah, the bottom.
yeah.
Get them push up with a big loader. I know Ben tried to do it a little bit, but he's doing a little tractor.
Yeah, it's hard to do, but yeah, we can definitely,
You know, sometimes they're swinging by with a big loader
yeah.
or something, push that back,
I think they used to do it, so
Yeah.
yeah, there's no reason.
and
They
then,
used to haul it away.
yeah,
Yeah,
but there's some topsoil in there too, I think, isn't there? But-
It's pretty sandy, gravelly.
Yeah. We need to get that pushed back so we can get at least a load of topsoil up there, so we can use that to maybe get you guys to fill in as you have time.
yeah. We
Okay.
can, haul it away if you're okay with that. Would
Yeah.
that be better?
Yep. Yep. I don't know, what do you think? Haul it all away or leave some? I mean, it's
Full
good
out.
for filling in holes.
Yeah. They usually leave some anyway.
Okay, okay. Okay. Yeah, and so, yeah, and, I say, really appreciate all the good work you guys are doing up there. It's,
How do grubs start? Like, it's always, you got a grub problem.
Japanese beetles, I think they
But
start.
is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh.
Crows get in there and they raise.
And, because it's the crows,
Scouts.
it's not so much, it's the animals that come to get the grubs that's really the problem. I'm just trying to figure out how they get there in the first
Which
place.
comes first?
Yeah. Chicken, egg, yeah. Okay, thank you.
You see any changes for next year, any needs, mowers or any of that stuff?
Yeah, we might need a walker, another walker mower, as far as, we just got one, I think, last year, down there, and we might have to trade another one, and as far as trimmers and stuff, we're all set there. We bought a bush trimmer that Ted's been taking care of that, and he's in the parks too, so I kind of.
Is the walker, you guys use mulchers or the baggers?
We use the mulchers down there just because the baggers have that big box on the back.
Oh, yeah.
You turn, you're gonna hit a,
So you're looking at about 15,000 for new mulcher.
yeah. Over at Oak Hill, we use the bagger because there's not really any stones to, and it cleans it up nice, and we use it to clean up the weeds, and
How's your labor situation been?
it's not good.
It's like everybody else.
Yeah, they've done remarkably well for the staff that we've had, because right now we're in full, we've been for the past couple of months, full lift maintenance, so that we can get them ready for the winter and inspections, because we have the inspections. And we've been short about 3 people, so it's been a struggle, but not to say that the drought was good, but
Yeah.
it helped.
Okay, well,
And we've been advertising, we just
Yeah.
haven't
Good.
gotten any interest.
Disposal regulations, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can burn it or you can bury it. And the burning is typically what we do, but that regulation was from like the 1920s, before they had these synthetics. And so we talked about the potential until new regulations nationally came out that might, account for some of this stuff. Would we consider burying in the interim time? And it just doesn't make any sense to bury someplace that's not, I think, kind of clearly marked or defined. And so I'm just curious, what, if anything, might work in a where everyone's using things, where the next kind of like desirable plot might be? But is there any space so that the next time I go and talk with the Legion, I can at least have them understand this opportunity to engage does exist or doesn't, and we would potentially end up looking at purchasing a plot or something like that. And again, I'm not speaking on.
Bury flags.
Bury flags so that you don't have to worry about someone stumbling across a pile of buried flags in the future. The whole thing with disposal is it's reverence. So where do you bury a bunch of flags that you feel comfortable they're not just going to be stumbled upon in the future? And anyway, I don't even think that we'll end up burying them. They are trying to come up with new regulations, but it just got me thinking, is there a spot that makes sense, or is there any point in a continued conversation? And Jeff, please chime in on your perspective on this. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's, just something that's being looked at. I know we've got a guy researching the issue, so you know,
It's
it's
just
gonna
like-
have to be done, yeah.
On Legion property, there's just not
Not a lot
a
of
ton
room,
of
yeah.
space and room to bury things. And again, if we got to that place, doing it with some level of a marker and some place where we know they're not gonna be disturbed is the intent of kind of what.
For sure, we come up with a place, if the Legion comes up with a procedure
Yeah.
and a
yeah.
need, I'm sure that we can come up and find a place.
Yeah, 'cause I know, I've been doing just a little bit of research, I came across a couple other states that do the same thing, you know, so.
They
Yeah.
burn them or bury them?
Bury 'em, the nylon and all that, I mean, because we had a burn up there just a little bit ago, and, I mean, I'm surprised the fire department wasn't called, because black smoke, you know,
I think
it
people
was
were,
bad.
sounded like people were being as polite as they could
Yeah.
because it was the Legion and because it was a proper disposal of flags, but it's putting all these pollutants up, it's going into everyone's backyard and, you know, for the cotton ones, it's just smoke.
Once
but-
we have something.
Yeah, once you have something, let us know, we can put it on the agenda and talk about it and
Thank you.
find someplace to,
Just getting a gauge, a sense
Yep.
of the committee, whether
Yeah.
this makes sense or not.
okay? Next is lot cornerstones at Oak Hill.
Everybody's looking at me. I wanted to put 4 cornerstones, and I find that I couldn't do it. So, Marlene,
The bylaws say you can, but if anybody wants to change the bylaws, so be it.
what's the reason you can't do it? I mean, what's the reason it's in there?
Well, as far as I know, originally it was just stones and up to Oak Hill, headstones, not cornerstones, because that's 4 of the markers that, for maintenance, as far as I know. I don't know for a fact, I wasn't around, when they did that.
The only issue I have with it is if one person does it, everybody's gonna wanna do it, and you're gonna end up with a lot of individual corner markers all over the place.
Then it becomes a maintenance item.
And then if you're gonna do it, you probably wanna come up with a define what is a cornerstone.
Standard,
Because I've got bricks, I've got beach rocks, I've got granite markers, wooden post. You open up a hornet's nest when you do that. That's my only concern.
that and the size of lots, I mean, if it's a 6 grave lot or something like that, or 4 grave lot, I mean,
I wouldn't go any smaller than 4 probably, because you start doing individual lots and they're just gonna be bunched right up.
I require them for every lot in my cemetery.
Connors,
And how big are your lots?
5 by 10, 20 by 20.
You require them?
Yep.
The reason that I brought that up is because we just buried my brother-in-law. And he had 4 cornerstones put in. It's in a cemetery over in Augusta, and it's a very nice kept, good-looking cemetery. And I was impressed with that, and I said, I'd like to have 4 on my lot. And then Bruce says, no, can't do it. I says, okay.
okay. We could look at changing the bylaws, coming up with a set of criteria. I mean, I think it makes sense to have them all uniform,
I do too.
whether it's a 4 by 4,
6 by 6 probably is a good size.
6 by 6 granite.
They're not cheap, but
No, they're not.
it's a one-time investment too.
How, how tall?
They're 6 to 8 inches usually.
So it'd be 8 inch, 6 by 6 by 8?
They're no more than 8 inches, 6 by 6 by 6.
Okay.
They'd still be flush, though.
But they'd have to be
Yeah.
flush.
Definitely.
And they're gonna sink, and they're gonna, I mean, it's one of those things that are constant maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah, but if they're only 6 inches,
No, it doesn't take much to fix them.
you know, dead blow hammer.
Frost even for all,
Yeah.
into you guys.
Were we intending to amend that today?
No, I don't think so. We
Well,
need,
then-
we need to come up with a design criteria. I was just trying to get an idea.
Well, then that leads me to my second question, which is this something you would like to do? Or do you feel that this is something others would like to do in the last time window before we lose the season? And I bring it up because we don't meet monthly, so if this was something that was time sensitive, okay, so this is a next spring, as long as we're good by next spring type thing? Okay.
Good with me.
Well, I just, if you had them and it sounded like you really wanted to get it done, I didn't know if we were
No,
gonna
I
try to
don't
catch
have
the
'em.
season.
I think having a design made, you know, I thought 4x4, but I think that's what they are over in Augusta. I didn't measure them. Could have been 4x4,
Hey,
5x5.
They're probably
deceiving.
6 inch.
I think if you go up to Hope Cemetery, they get little round corner markers. I think some may have numbers on them, so their lot numbers actually on those. That's what they use. I mean, I send most everybody, go get
I
them.
wonder if the frost would take a 6x6 and bring it out of the ground.
No, usually, they usually
Not
sink
much.
before
Is that right?
they.
Not much.
Just another question. Would it make sense, I don't know how they do it in other cemeteries, but where we might be doing this more en masse than we might imagine, would we want to purchase a bunch of uniform stock? And then we have a fee schedule just the same as we have for lots? And every time they do an installation, they have to purchase, we know it's standard because they got it from us, and we just have to buy a handful from Rockport Granite or whatever, and then we know everything's standardized?
See, I know on Oak Hill North, when that was being designed, we did look at surveying out and putting cornerstones every so often, every 8 lots or something, surveyed. As far
That
as,
would be a good idea.
as far as,
Reference points.
yeah, but then, I got off the cemetery committee at that time and it didn't happen.
But we have steel pins on
Steel.
each corner of
Each
one.
corner so you can measure. Yeah.
It's just, instead of like each person that comes to the sexton and says, I want to do this, and we have to say, you need to get something that we could just have, and the stock doesn't go bad. It sits off in the corner and it can get rained on and it's just fine. And if we had a good stock, we know it's uniform.
Sell them, Bruce?
All monument dealers sell them.
Huh?
All monument dealers sell those.
Yeah,
And
but-
they are
I'd
fairly
like to bring
expensive.
in some pictures of the ones in Augusta. I'm talking, I think it's, and I'll measure it for our next meeting. And what I was wanting is one like they have over there.
Is it
His has
polished?
A B in it, on each corner of the lot.
What's the last name?
Bab,
That makes sense.
yeah,
Bob.
no, the old for Oxford. But I'll bring in some pictures.
I'm pretty sure they're 6x6.
The tops of them in my cemetery are blank. Some have got letters, some have got sand dollars, some have starfish, some have musical symbols.
Sandblasted into them? And that seems great. I'd be fine with that. It's just the actual marker itself.
Upright
If we had
monuments, space,
100 of them,
we're gonna have to get some
then we know that it's all the standard, and that's not that expensive, I don't think. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
We could
Well,
probably,
well, look, that's why I'm asking the question, because but what I don't want to do is sacrifice, like whatever the cost would be, and then we wind up like you're
I'm not gonna
talking.
speak for Bruce, but I know some of the other monument dealers are probably between $250 and $300 for 4 of them.
that's cheap.
Yeah.
You could buy them for that probably.
I don't know.
And then you've got to engrave them and set them.
Well, that, anyway, more to discuss later.
Yeah, I think maybe for the next meeting, we come up with some examples of some other cemeteries specifications, if we got some, maybe in Augusta.
Yeah,
Um,
they got them at Acorn in Rockland on.
Okay, maybe we can get that verbiage and figure out how to do it and come up with how do we change our bylaws?
Sounds good.
Restoration update, Randy.
Tom Stevens' crew is back. They're working on the last two sections, I guess I'd say, from Gold Street heading towards the tomb. They're anticipating staying until it's done or until cold weather sends them off like it did last year at the end of the season.
Okay.
They're doing, I think, a great job. I was at the cemetery with Chip yesterday, day before,
Yeah.
whatever. And I don't know, I sent you a couple pictures, I think.
No, I saw him on Facebook.
Okay. There was one up by Mountain Street. That first picture's gonna show you, hang on just a second, Bob. The broken stone, and then there's a piece on the, leaning up against it on the back. If you went over to the tree, there was a big chunk leaning on a tree. The guys had set these out. They were planning on repairing them, but they didn't have the right epoxy. They'd been waiting for it. They got it in yesterday afternoon. They had it all repaired. It was propped up just to hold it in place. So that's one set of stones. Olive Coates in the Coates family. That's what their stone looked like earlier this week. That's what it looks like after it's been cleaned. Look, you hand them around. There's a before and after.
Yeah.
What are they using for cleanup, Randy?
They're using D2 and they're using pressure washers with water. And I think Chip told me, what'd you say, the acid or whatever, that you had taken a picture of the
Yeah,
bag?
I think, got a picture of acid, it was stone clean.
Yeah.
And then when talking, speaking to the guys up there, they said they left it overnight, the acid on there overnight and washed it off the next day.
And
The directions say if you let it stand for 5 to 10 minutes, then wash it off thoroughly, so, you know, whether the
the
acid,
third set of pictures I've got, they were just starting to clean up Nancy, whoever she was. I didn't look into details. And then there's a finished picture of what that stone looks like. I know they use D2. Their website lists everything that they use.
yeah,
I'll be honest with you, I haven't sat down and scrutinized.
yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't go to John French and scrutinize how he's doing his work on my vehicle. I kind of have to trust a little bit
Yeah.
that they know what they're doing. They do, without exaggeration, tens of thousands of stones a year. And so far, I think what they've been doing is looking pretty good overall.
There were some things that I saw when I went through that were a bit concerning, especially with the concept of putting the acid on overnight. And I mean, I didn't have a conversation with them, yet the age of some of the monuments and the finish that I believe, and I was looking, Allison sent me some pictures from when a survey was done. It'll help me get some of the before and after pictures, but on a handful of them, quite a few, the polished finish, you know, when you sandblast it in, and it's just a beautiful polished finish. You can get away with a little bit of a round in your sandblasting instead of getting that full-on chisel, and then you get that shadow that creates that relief. That contrast is done by the finish, and the finish on some of them is just wiped. Like, you can barely read the names, and you have to look at a different angle. And
My understanding, the only ones they use the acid on is granite.
these were granites.
Is that,
You don't polish the marbles.
yeah.
Like, and that seems a bit close to be pressure washing these marbles off, because they're wicked soft.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You know, these stones haven't been touched in how many years? When was the last time any of these were cleaned?
I don't know, I just got on the committee.
Bruce? You?
10 years, 15 years?
Really?
Was it clean 50? I don't remember them being clean.
I went
50 years ago.
through.
The section that they're doing now was done, well, it was done in 95, I think.
I went through West Rockport while I was, and I hadn't been using certain chemicals on the granites with the very rough surfaces. And when I got my method and everything good and honed, and I came back around to the spot where I had first started, 2 seasons or so had passed, and I was blown away by how much I'd grown in just that little bit, because I had left the spores. I mean, that's what the acid does, is it kills all the spores, the stuff that's actually starting to grow into the stone itself. But, yeah, and I would just say from my mild, medium experience cleaning monuments, until we have full confidence in the methodology that they're using, I don't feel comfortable with them cleaning any more stones, uprighting the ones and mending
I
them
will say,
together.
point blank, get in your vehicle, drive to Belfast. There's a prime example. Pine Grove Cemetery, I think is the name of it, Grove Cemetery, whichever one. They've got probably 10,000 examples. They just did that, I think, 3 years ago.
I know, but the one we're paying for, I did walk through and I have concerns,
understand.
so I don't want to look at that
You
one.
said you want examples of what they've done. There's one.
No, I
French
don't.
Cemetery in Lincolnville. They did French Cemetery probably 20 years ago.
Need examples. I'm sorry if I said that.
If you don't
I don't
like their
feel
procedures,
comfortable-
read what they put on their website. It tells you what they do, how they do it. Tom Stevens will come up and talk to you if you've got
I would
concerns.
love to. Are you the, I thought you were the point of contact, so I didn't want to just,
I never knew I was the only point of contact.
Oh, you have been with Tom
I've been
Stevens.
working with
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of them, but I don't think there's anything that stops anybody from reaching out to them if they
No,
want
it's-
to
we've
talk.
tried to run everything through you to keep it simple, so.
I don't want to make it more confusing for any, and then you're not aware or anything like that. Yet what you've described that's on their website doesn't match up with what we're getting for feedback from the cemetery and from observation. It kind of matches up.
You know what? Whatever the committee wants to do, I guess, stopping them. I mentioned this to Chip. To get them back here, they don't need us, we need them. Let's just put it that way. When they started this process, there were between 150 and 200 broken and downed stones in that cemetery. They're gonna go through and they're gonna fix them. They're standing them up. They're doing the repairs.
And like I said, I don't have any problems with that. It's the
Well,
cleaning.
but if you lose them, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go back to asking Bruce to come up and do what he can
I'd
do?
prefer that than them damaging the monuments that people paid good money and entrusted us to make sure we're cleaned properly. And in no circumstance or any scenario do you leave acid on overnight.
I'm not gonna argue that, because
That's
I don't
what
know which
the
acid, whether they've
workers-
diluted it, I have no clue. Because I will rely on what I call the experts who are doing the work, and it looks pretty good in my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm only one voice, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna go toe to toe and argue what somebody else's work is doing.
Bruce, what does Bruce feel?
I feel the same way as Owen does. I've seen them up there spraying the acid over the stones and leaving it on overnight. And that type of acid, you just don't do that with. I've cleaned stones for 50 years also.
Yep.
And we've used that acid, but we never leave it on the stone.
So I would say from what the two of you are saying, that we should approach them and ask them not to leave the acid on overnight.
Yeah.
And if they say it's not gonna do as good a job, then we're not gonna hold them responsible. But we do not want them to destroy the stones. And I value both your opinions. Bruce, I know better than you. And so I would think we should speak to him nicely. I think
Yeah.
we should leave it, ask Randy to talk to him.
Randy, have a conversation with Tom and
Sure.
saying, hey, we've seen that, and it appears that you're leaving the acid on overnight. What's the reason for it, and we'd prefer not to do that. If you leave it on for a short period of time and wash it off, like the directions say, but leaving the acid on a stone
I'll
overnight.
reach out to him on Friday. I'd hate to say tomorrow I'm booked, and I don't really wanna take the time out,
No,
but,
fine.
Friday's
Okay.
good, rainy
But-
day, it's a good project.
Other than this situation we're talking about, the acid, you're very pleased with the job. they did.
Well, there are other things
There was-
too. I mean,
There are other
in
things.
the
This is the time
contract,
to
it
discuss
says that there's supposed to be resetting and repairing the stone. I haven't seen them reset any stones at all. They jack them up, put a piece of slate in underneath, put the dirt back around it.
What do you classify as resetting?
Resetting to me is lifting the stones up out of the ground that have sunk, putting crushed gravel underneath and resetting the stone on top,
Okay.
level.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I don't know what was relayed to them, but.
And when I walked through, as far as the resetting, that's one of those things where there's all kinds of different ways to kind of like accomplish that. And that's where, you know, the folks doing the work and the cemetery association or the town or whatever, you know, collaborate on available resources and different methodologies. Because one methodology of writing a bunch of stones and getting them pretty plumb is the way that they're doing it. It's pretty quick. It doesn't last a significant amount of time, but it really fixes stuff much quicker and you get volume. And if that's the kind of methodology with the resources, then that makes all kinds of sense. The method that Bruce is talking about, really the stones last longer. You get, you know, it's better for the mowing, it's better for all kinds of different stuff, but it's a lot more resource intensive, it's a lot slower. Yeah, I do, yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, and so,
If you want to take every one of these stones that's got a list leaning one way or the other, or tipped over, and you want to take every stone out, that's the time when you should put a full foundation underneath them, and you'll never have to do that again.
and so the question is, not knowing what I wasn't around for the kind of collaboration, so where the language is very, you know, specific, but, you know, basic, they could be accomplishing it to a great degree, or they could not be meeting the standard, and I have no way of really knowing.
I don't know
On
what
that
the
one.
standard is, so I guess
Whatever.
you're speaking Greek at this point, because I'm not an expert, or even remotely close to what you classify as standard is.
The standard that I'm referring to is the standard that was agreed upon in the contract, and I don't know what that is.
Basically, it's the outline of procedures that they did. You know, reset
We
in
did this,
a way that whenever possible, all monuments will be reset in a way that they were originally installed. Slate tablets set back in the ground, the proper depth, and fills put back around them and compacted. So, yeah, I mean, that
No,
talks.
then I feel like they're meeting the standard.
Yeah.
Because especially some of these stones, the way that they were originally set, they couldn't have sunk in enough to have to jack them out. So that's very helpful, thank you, because that's what I mean, as far as, there's all kinds of different ways. They could have described removing, boxing
And I
out,
think it may
pouring.
be incumbent on us at another point in time is to add more topsoil to a lot of these lots, to bring them up to grade, fill up around the stones a little bit more, because they have settled over the years. There again, that's another big project that we can look at.
If you do the bulk right now, we're gonna cover a lot of ground. We're gonna get a lot of them straightened up and make the cemetery look 80% better, we'll say. If we get that to that level, then as is a maintenance program, you pick out the ones that are giving you a hard time and you straighten those out again in a shorter period of time to try to get them. You might have to do something different. But your specifications seem very vague.
Yeah,
It's just like bidding out a paint job somewhere. They
Yeah.
don't specify. They're gonna do just what it says, and that's all you're gonna get.
yeah.
But I'm just saying, your overall, and I want Bruce's opinion, because
Yeah.
I'm looking to Bruce as our expert, our eyes. You know a hell of a lot more about it than maybe Randy and you,
I don't know,
but I
I'm
don't.
not even gonna take credit for
Well,
it.
you deserve some.
Okay.
Okay, I'll shut up.
And then just let us know what Tom says and say, you know, overall, it looks fantastic up there. There again, we'll want to walk through, and there's a few stones here and there that we saw that were in progress, I think, you know, so, you know, they're not done yet, so, some that need to be repaired.
He did say before the end of the season, he would try to get up and walk through the rest of the cemetery and get an estimate for what it would take to
Do the rest of it.
continue on.
Okay,
But
Good.
at this point, they're looking at trying to beat the cold weather and get what they can done.
okay, great, thank you. Nothing on the paving. Prices were quite high this spring with the oil going through the roof, so I didn't pursue that anymore. That can stay on there maybe for next year. We can get some decent pricing. Digital mapping update. Have you heard anything from Letitia?
I spoke to Letitia, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and she is still working on that. She's got some other things going on, so that's not the top priority. But she is working on it, and we just keep plugging away at it.
Good. Great, thank you.
Thank you for that. Looping around to it.
Letitia, is she the one that works through the county?
Yep.
That's what I
Yep.
thought.
Yep. She set up she was taking the maps and transferring some of the database we have for Oak Hill at first into that, so that we could put it up on like a GIS system. So you could click on a lot, and it'll bring up the names and who's there and where they're located and all that. So, work in progress.
Kind of like a modernized find a grave system.
Yep.
Well, and the good news is the way that it works or theoretically could work is, she's doing it for this county, so then every town, if she gets it refined, has like a template, and they can do it with their cemeteries, and then that can be exported to the other counties, so that Lincoln will eventually, get it, Waldo will get it, and then that when I had talked with her, I don't know if, it's like, anyway, could be a really good low-cost, no-cost thing for like the state and small cemetery associations.
Cost, no cost.
Yep.
That would be a full-time project for Knox County, for a person. With the amount of cemeteries we have in Knox County alone, that would be a full-time job.
Sure.
I mean, think how many cemeteries there are.
I guess what I was referring
They gotta
to
do
was,
something with money.
it's like the difference between a $15,000 or $20,000 software management system that you have to get annual, like renewals and licenses, to something that we get integrated into our own stuff provided by the county government. So it's a low cost and a no cost. That's what I meant.
I would just say after 12 years or whatever being on Knox County Budget Committee, I can guarantee you it doesn't come free. I mean, that was a part-time job and it's been increased up and now I think it's a full-time job,
That's why she's
they're looking at-
doing it, because
Oh, yeah.
it's the county assesses the taxes to each town.
Oh, no,
That's why.
But again, it's not free. That's all I'm just saying. And if you're gonna be doing all the cemeteries, that would take one person just on cemeteries for years to do.
Okay, tomb trim update, repair update.
Oh, we've met twice. We haven't done anything yet.
Do you know if, when the engineers looked at the town buildings, if they looked at that building at all up there?
I don't,
Okay.
do you want, I can find out.
Yeah, I mean, see if they've looked at, because I know they did a evaluation of all town buildings, and that's gonna need some trim repair. Looks like a little rod around the edges.
Are you talking about the Siemens?
Yeah,
Oh, I wonder if they would go to that building.
town building. But anyways, some of the trim's rotten around the outside edge. Do that, you're gonna have to replace the flashing, which is then into the roof, and all the soffits.
That's got what, slate roof on
It's
it?
got
It's imitations,
imitation, it's like.
Yeah.
fiberglass and concrete.
So, So they're gonna set something we need to look at, we need to find a contractor and, that's right, you're getting back into business, right? House doctor?
Yeah, no, I've been out of business since '95.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if you could get, not that it's for me to say, but, Public Works to do trim up there too.
I think it's above Public Works. Not that
I'm not Public Works.
I know you aren't, but I just think, I think they might supply some labor to help somebody that could run the job with a set of hands if they were somewhat, had a tendency to be somewhat talented in the construction field with a good, hire a good person that knows how to put trim on and how to do things. I
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna,
think Public Works does a great job, but I think,
we'd probably find some contractors that are interested, I don't know, everyone's so busy right now, you can't get anybody.
Are you looking at going like AZAC or something, so? it'll last
AZAC
for-
expands and contracts,
It's what?
it moves.
Oh, yeah, no, but
Go on.
it doesn't rot nearly as quick, I don't believe, does it?
I don't know, I don't use it.
Okay. That's one way to answer it.
Yeah, but it's also the plywood on the soffits.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's,
what it's hooked onto, what's
Yeah.
moving underneath.
and what's above it, I mean, it's, there again, I think the first thing would be to investigate it, open it up.
The roof has been on there for probably 25 years. I don't know if that would need to be replaced or not. Maybe
That
they-
roof's been on, that encompasses,
Well,
Really?
time flies.
Included in the performance. Does it have a heating system? Then it wouldn't have been included. She said it wasn't included in it.
Fireplace,
Huh?
has a fireplace.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, it
That
does.
changes everything.
Yeah.
So, okay. Put that on the to-do list. Okay, fiscal year '24 budget, purchases and projects. We got two of them right there. Paving and the trim. And also potentially more restoration. Have to fine tune that a little more, maybe put some numbers to it. And Marlene, when do we have to have the budget for next year? in?
Well, that started out last year, so it would be done. So we pretty much had it done in January.
Okay,
I think we started the meetings in November, maybe.
Yeah.
Before the holidays.
yeah.
How long have we been working on the tomb for getting prices or?
mean, that just showed up.
Engineering or whatever.
That just showed up, what was it, we talked about that last year, last meeting.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it was just, there again, it was just the little rot starting to show up in some of the corners, and, you know, we want to take care of it before it gets too bad. Okay. And you have anything you want to go over on the finances?
No, the only question I was gonna ask was, do you wanna set a meeting for November to start the budget?
Sure.
To have it be the budget, just for the budget meeting?
Yep.
I'm sorry. Can we try to, anyone that wants to show up, call it 45 minutes, an hour before that November budget meeting to do a little time onto the bylaws, see if we've got any better information on corner markers, not that we'd get it accomplished, but
Oh, we can do it at the meeting.
little work session.
Work session.
We'll do a work session beforehand, do our budget stuff, and if we come to a great place, maybe we can approve it then.
Well, we won't approve the budget.
No, the bylaw
Okay,
change,
okay,
marker
yeah,
change.
yeah. I think that has to go before the select board too.
That was another question that I had. Did the bylaw changes,
Yeah, I think we'd have to get a recommendation from, we have to give our recommendation to the select board. I think,
Always did, I think.
yeah. Yep. Yeah.
so they actually changed the policy, we give a recommendation?
Mhm, yeah.
Thank you.
It goes before the voters.
I'd like to ask a question about the rocks on the north side, up near the road. About half them bushes out there are dead. And, do we replace them? Do we grass that area in where they are?
I think we'd want to replace them. That, you know, I think we'd want to put something back in, what were they, rugosas or? what?
I don't know what they are, but about half of them have been dead all summer. And it's a pain, they have to weed whack around everything. If the bush weren't there, they could run them lawn, I like that smile. They could run the mower right in between the rocks. It would take a lot less labor and a lot less problem if the bushes weren't there.
Now, the north is on the left side going up, is that correct?
Right, on the right side.
Right side, Oak Hill North, the new,
The new side, okay.
Yeah.
Geez, I just don't remember the plants being up there now, just,
Yeah, they-
I'm trying to visualize.
Well, 'cause it-
Yeah, I was trying to picture,
in between.
not Mountain, I was thinking of the ones at Mountain View down towards like where do the staging.
As you go out Hosmer's Pond Road,
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
the right-hand side, there's rocks and there's
Yeah.
about a 5 foot, a car can't get through there.
Yeah.
But there's a little bush in between each one of them rocks. And about half them bushes are dead. And they either gotta go, be replaced, or if they went, it would take probably hours off mowing because they have to weed whack all around them bushes between each rock.
And I got a feeling they're gonna get a good charge of salt again this
Well,
winter,
I
and
just
we're
wanna
just gonna
say,
keep killing them,
Shouldn't-
whatever
shouldn't
we
look
put
at
back.
maybe why they're dying?
Something,
before
that's
we
what I
replace
was-
them
yeah.
and Lose them another 2, 3
Why do we
years?
need them?
That's.
Well, the idea was to mirror the other side. The expense of a stone wall like that was astronomical.
Right, I remember
So,
that.
I know, I think, I wasn't on the committee that day, but I know a relative of mine that was.
I do too.
And,
I think the roses was his idea.
well, I think they went and got some rocks up in Stockton Springs. And placed them down through there and put some, wanted some vegetation in between there, so eventually there'd be a complete hedge. So, we can take a look at it.
Just look it over, we'll talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it next meeting.
And I misspoke, bylaws do not have to go to the select board, and they don't have to be voted
Oh,
on.
okay. Great. All those in favor, all opposed, so voted.
Just real quick, do we have, is there one more mowing before, are you done mowing?
Well, we're gonna start leaf cleanup and we mow as we clean up.
And I'm just curious, do we want to give intent that any clearly dead of these bushes before could be removed this year? Do we feel comfortable with that?
Thank you,
Both cemeteries. If it's dead, yank it out, cut it off.
thank you.
There's some lilacs up at Mountain View that have one little shoot with some green leaves and the rest of it's kind of seen better days and.
Okay, what's a good date for the next meeting? 16th?
Thanksgiving will all be around.
How's that look, Marlene?
Yep,
16th, you said?
Now, we just spoke about starting 45 minutes early.
That was optional.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think it'll take that long with the budget. I mean, it's,
No, this is for the bylaw.
right, for the bylaw, we can start at 4 and, you know, I think we'll have enough
I
time.
think 4 is good,
Yeah.
myself. I don't wanna be here at 3:15, but I don't wanna miss something going on.
So it's the 16th at 4?
Got a copy of the bylaw, look at it.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
It's the 16th?
Yeah.
Put 14, let's go to
That's something I'd do. That's something I'd do, put the 14th instead of the 16th.
I thought it was on
That's why I
16th,
wrote it. Great big letters right here, so.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
I can't read my own writing, that's the problem.
Great, in the meantime, everyone should have a copy of the bylaws someplace.
In, in the binder, isn't it, that you gave us?
Send them all those so you have them.
Yeah. And while we're looking at it, let's look at the rest of it. I mean, read down through it, see if there's anything else need to be updated. If we're doing it, we might as well look at the whole thing. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Make a
Anybody got
motion to
anything else?
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded,
All in favor? All opposed, so voted.
then off your mind.